Hi there everybody, my name is Alistair and welcome to Neverwinter. Today we're going to be looking at the Assassin Rogue and its power setups for AoE and single target. Now let's get straight into it. We're going to look at our class feats to start with. So down here we have Toxic Blades. That's going to work really nicely off your AoE damage over time. Unfortunately, it's not as broken as it used to be. This is what really was the bread and butter of the Assassin Rogue for a while, but unfortunately that is just not the case anymore. Up here we have Assassin's Target. Your attacks have a chance to deal target to the first enemy hit. The effect up to 5 times. Increases the damage your next encounter. Power strikes the target by 10% per stack. Now this is better for single target. This is better for AoE. I don't have the Astral Diamonds to go between the two. Build completely separate builds. So for AoE, I would go Toxic Blades. For AoE, I'd actually just go for Mastery of Shadows for the Stealth Regen. Now, Stealth Regen is nowhere near as important in on the Assassin Rogue because our cooldowns are quite a bit longer than on the Whisper Knife Rogue. And so what you're going to find is your stealth will come back even without this bonus. If you just had Knife's Edge, it would come back faster anyway. Up here we have Duelist Expertise for the extra damage that the enemy will take. And down here we have Skullcracker, but we are going to go for the Duelist Expertise for this one, increasing the damage the enemy takes. And here we have Back Alley Tactics. Now I've got Back Alley Tactics over Hastily Sharpened Blades because I don't need the 5 to 10% critical strike. But if you need the stats, the 5-10% critical strike would be more beneficial than Back Alley Tactics because Back Alley Tactics, you don't use your Daily Power straight away. So once it's full, you'll end up having it for a while, especially in AoE, because I personally don't use dailies in AoE because I save them for the boss fights where I need them to go in my artifact call. And so Back Alley Tactics is great for single target during your fights, but it's not as good as the Hastily Sharpened Blades. 10% crit strike is roughly about 3.75% damage, and Back Alley Tactics, you'll be having your best bonus when your action points are empty, and obviously up to no bonus when your action points are full, and so you'll be having diminishing returns. So if you need the stats, Hastily Sharpened Blades will be better. If you don't need the Back Alley Tactics would be better. And here we have the Executioner. When an enemy is under 20% life, your attacks have a chance to deal 10% more. Have 10% chance to deal extra 200 magnitude. This is really, really good because this procs on your AoE when the enemies are close to dying. You just gain that a little bit more burst damage as they get a bit lower. And here we have the Shadowy Flurry. Your attacks have 5% chance to spawn a Shadowy Figure demise. Use the final combo of Duelist Flurry. Now, you're going to gain more damage from Execution than from one hit of Duelist Flurry. However, if you like the way it looks, having that little shadowy figure appear and do the damage, then it's a thematic thing, but the execution is going to be better. Over here we have Oppressive Darkness, gaining an extra 20 magnitude damage when you are in combat advantage, which will hopefully be most of the time as a rogue. Even on the Assassin Rogue, because of Smoke Bomb, you can provide yourself combat advantage for more hits. Unfortunately, you just don't have the class feature that will give you combat advantage, which is a real shame. Here we have Skillful Infiltrator for the movement speed and the critical strike. Deflect, is nice to have, but we don't really need it. Most people will tell you to use Tenacious Concealment. We don't need the stealth back that quickly because our encounter powers have got a limited cooldown. And so I'm finding my stealth always comes back before my encounter powers do. And then I'm waiting. I don't want to use myself because I want to get my Smoke Bomb from stealth for the combat advantage. And so I'm sitting on my stealth bar being full. The only way that I see it more viable is if you need the survivability of being able to just go, I need to jump into stealth to survive. And then it will be beneficial in that situation. But for now, Skillful Infiltrator for the movement speed and the critical strike. You could go for your sneak attack for a bit more movement speed, and when you're in stealth, gain your cooldown rate, cooldowns back faster. However, you're probably not going to be spending a super large amount of time in stealth because you're going to be using your smoke bomb straight away. Over here we got Hateful Knives and Whirlwind of Blades on our daily power section. Now, I don't use my daily power in AoE at all. I use my single target, and I use it only for boss fights. I use it for artifact calls. I don't use them in ad groups because it's just a waste of a daily, I find. Up here we have got Smoke Bomb, we have got Path of Blades, and we got Blade Flurry in that order. The same ones as the Whisper Knife. The difference is with the Whisper Knife you have a feat that for each enemy hit you gain 7.5% cooldown, and so you'll be using your Lashing Blade from stealth, and then your Smoke Bomb, and then you'll get your Lashing Blade back again, Blade Flurry back again, and then your Path of Blades, get your Blade Flurry back again, and so it's a much more dynamic combat. This is going to be, you're going to use Smoke Bomb from stealth, using your giving yourself combat advantage for your Path of Blades, or most of the hits for your Path of Blades, and then your Blade Flurry to just do that little bit extra damage. Now you can put a single target hit like Lashing Blade or Assassinate. You also could use Dazing Strike at the end instead of Blade Flurry. Now Dazing Strike would be good to put at the end, so let's see if I did put it at the end. It would give your Path of Blades the extra hits right at the end. It's just a very, very, very small... it's a very small combat advantage bubble it gives you. So if I stand right in the middle here, you know, I've hit 3, but I've not hit all 5. And so you need to be very careful on how you position it. Smoke Bomb goes around you. This just goes in front of you, as you see here. So you've got to be very careful of how you position it. So there's 2 options that I would recommend. You can put a single target in that last slot, but if you're trying to get your Path of Blades all the hits from combat advantage, you would go Stealth, Smoke Bomb, Path of Blades, then you would pop that one, and that would give all your hits combat advantage. Now, that's one rotation that you can use, and that would, just be Smoke Bomb, Path of Blades, and making sure that you pop that last one so that your Path of Blades have all got combat advantage, as you see there. Perfect. Oh, we missed one. We missed one in that rotation, which is fine. It still puts a bit of a punch out. If you want a bit more damage in regards to your single target, you'd put their Lashing Blade instead of your Dazing Strike. I personally go for Dazing Strike actually. I think of it over my Blade Flurry because it gives me that extra combat advantage time. It does daze the targets as well, give me a bit more survivability. It's a 350 magnitude. Lashing Blade is a 330 magnitude, so it does slightly more damage. It's just a bit more melee orientated. If you need the extra range on your AoE, your Blade Flurry can do damage from way back, and it does damage all around you. And so that's a big benefit for that. So if I run in, you go Stealth, Smoke Bomb, Path of Blades, and then Blade Flurry. I'm hitting all my enemies, but I'm getting less damage on my Path of Blades, as you see here. The ticks don't all have combat advantage. So personally, I would go for, on my Assassin build, this rotation here, where I've got the ability to gain combat advantage and a small AoE hit. I've just got to make sure I'm positioning myself a little bit better. And I'm going to really clutch on my Smoke Bomb and my Path of Blades. So run in, Smoke Bomb, Path of Blades, and then my little encounter at the end. What is it called? Sorry, I forgot what it's called. Dazing Strikes. There we go. So one last time, and then we'll move on to the single target. Run in, Stealth, Path of Blades, and then my Dazing Strike. And as you see, I'm getting that combat advantage on most of my hits. Beautiful. And then this one, I'm not getting combat advantage on. Oh, he's not got any damage left. So I'll just do this. And he's dead. Cool. So that is the rotation for your Assassin on your AoE side. Now over here we have, up on the At-Wills, Gloaming Cut and Cloud of Steel. You don't have very good at wills for your AoE, so it's not the greatest in AoE with at wills. You're going to be really heavily clutching on your encounters to do your damage. So now I'm on the single target loadout. I don't have a specific build for single target, as I said. I actually bought this loadout just to make this video, and so I've just got it set up for AoE at the moment. However, if you're going to go single target and make a designated single target build, I would go for Assassin's Target, gaining more damage on a single target. I would use Knife's Edge to gain the 4-second cooldown on an artifact call for your daily your daily power, sorry, so that you're going to gain your encounters back sooner. Duelist Expertise again. Down here, once again, you can choose between the two based on what you need. And up here, I'm going to say you're going to want to still stick with Execution. Over here we have Oppressive Darkness. When you have combat advantage, 20% magnitude, 20 points of magnitude, and then over here we have our class feats. Class features didn't change. Dailies didn't change. We're going to use Hateful Knives, and over here we're going to use Wicked Reminder, Lashing Blade from Stealth, and Assassinate for the last hit. And then we've got Gloaming Cut, and we have got Cloud of Steel, and this is what it's going to look like. You're going to go to your boss dummy here, and it's going to be Wicked Reminder, Lashing Blade, Assassinate, and then Gloaming Cut if you're nearby the enemy and you're melee, or if you're far away, you can throw your knives. And as you see, my stealth is back already, and I've got tons of cooldown time. Tons and tons of cooldown time left. Now, I'm going to go again, Wicked Reminder, Lashing Blade, and Assassinate, and that's my rotation. So if we look here, I've got Tactician's Precision, I've got 1 Cavalry's Haste on. Now I've put the Cavalry's Haste on because I don't have the Knife's Edge, but if you have the Knife's Edge, you don't need the Cavalry's Haste. 2 Tactician's Precision will do. Another Cavalry's Haste will make it just like bread and butter smooth, but it's not really that necessary. So with the encounter, the Artifact call, we're going to go Artifact, Wicked Reminder, Lashing Blade from Stealth, Assassinate, Daily, Mount Belt, and we're going to go Wicked Reminder, Assassinate, then Lashing Blade from Stealth right at the end, getting that big hit right at the end. So here goes the Artifact call. Oh, I did it in the wrong order. That's fine. Daily, Belt, Mount. 1, 2, 3. There we go, and that is the Artifact call. Now that's with, I actually did in the wrong order. I accidentally used Stealth at the start, and therefore I had to use Lashing Blade straight away rather than Wicked Reminder. Normally go Wicked Reminder, Lashing Blade, Assassinate, and after the Tactics of Precision has triggered, then you're going to go into your rotation, going Wicked Reminder, Assassinate, then Lashing Blade at the end to get that big hit right at the end. And Lashing Blade always from Stealth. Now I'm quickly going to take off my Tactician's Precisions. And going to keep Cavalry's Haste on as if you have this feat on here, Knife's Edge. However, actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to put on, there we go. So as if you've got it for Knife's Edge. And we're going to look at what an Artifact call would look like without. Now, we're going to utilize us having the feat on here. Back alley tactics, giving me 10% more damage based on how few action points you have. So I'm going to use my daily power right at the beginning. So it's Artifact, Daily. I'm going to use Stealth, Wicked Reminder. Sorry, I shouldn't use Stealth from Wicked Reminder from Stealth, but there we go. That's the Artifact call. We've still got a few seconds left. As you see, there was no real reason for the Cavalry's Haste with that. But let's say I have 1 Cavalry's Haste, and I have got, I'm going to put a 2nd Cavalry's Haste on, just for the sake of the demonstration. There we go. To mock me having this power. Now, I would gain 8 seconds. Right now I'm gaining 6 seconds, so it's not going to be quite exactly the same. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it would roughly look like, and show you how it can work with just the 1 mount power. Waiting for that 10-second cooldown. We're going to go again. Make sure I go Wicked Reminder and then Lashing Blade from Stealth. I keep messing it up because I'm used to the Whisper Knife rotation. We go Stealth from the start. So I'm used to obviously the Whisper Knife. All right, here we go. Let's go for the rotation. Belt, Wicked Reminder, Lashing Blade from Stealth, Assassinate, Daily, Belt item, Mount item. Then I'm going to go Lashing Blade. I'm then going to go Wicked Reminder, and I'm going to go for my Assassinate. Now, that was a little bit clunky. If I had that extra 2 seconds cooldown, it would be far less clunky and it would fit way better. So that is the Assassin Rogue build rotation for the powers. I hope you enjoyed this. It unfortunately doesn't perform as well as a Whisper Knife. I would always suggest going Whisper Knife over Assassin Rogue, but it's still a good damaging option. It's just not as good as a Whisper Knife. But if you like the thematic of it, happily play on. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next time.